Hey, there's so much fun stuff to play on nylon string guitar, and it does not have to be difficult. So let me show you my easy version of the traditional Spanish song El Vito. We're gonna keep it in the first position, as simple as possible. We're gonna need to know a few chords that you probably already know, and it's gonna be pretty easy except for some rhythm stuff. Before we dive into this measure by measure, let me play the whole thing from start to finish so you can see what it sounds like. That's the version of the song we're gonna play. You can play it a lot slower if you wanna make it easier. What we definitely must know is an A minor chord and an E chord. And you're also gonna see a G and an F in this, but they're kind of abbreviated versions of those chords. So that's what makes it easier, I think. And there is a quick bar you may have noticed, but it's not too bad. We don't have to have a bunch of fingers down, and it's very, very quick. I think the most challenging thing about this is not really the technique at all, it's the rhythm of it. It's in 3/4 time, but there's some lopsided things happening where we have a quarter note and a half note, and then we have it flipped where we have a half note and a quarter note. So that's a short note and a long one, and then all of a sudden a long and then a short, and that is tricky. So we're going 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Okay, let's dive into the song measure by measure. Our main chord is gonna be an E major chord. The song is in E Phrygian, so the song begins and ends with that E chord. But first we have 2 quarter notes here on the high E string. Now you can play rest strokes, that's what I did earlier, but it doesn't really matter. We can do free strokes the whole way. I know rest strokes kind of give people trouble sometimes. So we're gonna play the high E string twice. It's actually happening on the second beat, so these are pickup notes going 1 where nothing happens. 1, 2, 3, 1. Just strum down with your thumb and count 2 beats. So we're going 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Next measure, we have these 2 outer strings, also for 2 beats. So again, we have a half note followed by a quarter note. 1, 2, and let your pinky play the 3rd fret of the 2nd string. That's a D note right there. So from the beginning, we have. Now right here, leave your pinky down as a pivot and move these to the floor, and you got an A minor chord, right? So that's the beauty of E major to A minor, is it's the same looking shape, but a completely different chord. So our pinky is down here, and we're gonna play a block like this. A block chord is when we play all these fingers kind of at the same time. Thumb, index, middle ring, all together. Now take your pinky away and play the 2nd string again. So we have, so we're still doing that 2 beats versus 1 beat groove. We have a half note and then a quarter note. 1, 2, 3, and in a minute we're gonna see that that's gonna flip. So from the beginning, right, that was 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Now the next measure we're gonna play, keep holding that A minor chord, but play the A string, and then take this finger off for an open B, and then put it back for the C note. So that measure, this is the first measure of the second line, is 1, 2, 3. Next part, we can entirely take our hand off and play the outer strings, and then just the B string by itself. Now here's where the rhythm has flipped on us. Now we're playing a quarter note and a half note. So we're going 1, 2, 3, instead of 1, 2, 3. That really is weirder than you think it would be, at least to me it is. So the second line, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Okay, that next part was just pieces of the A minor and the E chord that we've already seen. By the way, in this spot after this, it says to just go like this in the music, but that's really an E chord, even though we don't see anything in the tablature. Just for safety, if you have that down, you could include more notes from that chord if you want to. And just in case you accidentally hit the G string, for example, if we hear that note, G natural, it's gonna sound wrong in this moment, although a G natural is coming up in a second. So what we have so far from the beginning, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Here's an A minor chord. So there we have the flipped rhythm again. Going back to this, A minor, I'm just playing the 4th string and the 2nd at the same time. Free strokes there, and then we have this pinch idea, and then index in the middle. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Then we'll go to an E chord and do the same thing. Just take these fingers and move them to the ceiling, do the same thing, but now we have long versus short. So this is 2 beats and 1 beat. So if you wanted to just encapsulate that rhythmic weirdness that's happening in the song, you can take these two measures and just work that out. We have a quarter note and a half note, and then a half note and a quarter note. So that's short, long, and then long, short, like this. Short, long, long, short. Pretty weird. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Now here it repeats. This A section happens twice. What happens here with the rhythm, I think, is you're gonna wanna play late here because you were used to having a long note when it flipped over there. So immediately after what I just did, we go and go right into this 1 time per beat thing. So we're still holding an E chord. Let me go back to the previous measure. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Now we're back to that lopsided rhythm again. So I'm on the 9th measure of the song, playing an E chord. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. That was another thumb and middle finger at the same time, and then play this, but we had to wait 2 beats. 1, 2, 3. Now we have an F chord, or we're gonna get the flavor at least of an F chord. Play this low F, leave it down the whole measure. There's an A note, 2nd fret of the 3rd string, and just play them 1 time per beat. 1, 2, and then the next string, open. 1, 2, 3. Leave this middle finger down, put your ring finger on the 3rd fret of the 4th string, play those 2, and then slide them down. You could also do this, but since these are down already, just slide them down. It'll be easier for us. 2 beats and 1 beat. 1, 2, 3. Slide it back. 1, 2, 3. This is giving us the sound a little bit of an A minor chord. Leave this finger down, and now we're gonna bar. Here's our only bar of the song. Of course, we're gonna see it again in a second though. That was 1, 2, 3. Now we're gonna play G here. That was also a short note and a long note. So back to this F chord. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Now the rhythm flips. 1, 2, 3. So we're playing octaves here. F and F, and then E and E. If you find that hard, just like we were talking about a second ago, slide it down like this. Totally fine to do that. And the next 8 measures are what we've already done. There's that long short again. 1, 2, 3. Now right here we jump right back to the beginning. Now at the end, we're gonna go 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And that's again that tricky thing. I think it's tricky. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Short, long, long. And then this would have been a short one, you could say, but it's getting tied into that final measure there. So again, the ending is. So that is my easy version of El Vito. There's so much fun stuff to play on nylon string guitar, especially old traditional music, because we don't have a composer who's telling us you have to play it this way. And that means we can simplify things to our skill level where we're at right now. And if you're new to Spanish guitar, check out this video where I show you all the techniques you need to know in the right hand.